Hi guys. So in this video, I will be explaining you about Spring Security architecture, like how the core of the Spring Security works. So this is the first part, basically the starting point, like how Spring Security is internally working. Then we will be slowly moving towards JWT authentication, then OAuth based implementation. Those all things will be going. So without any delay, let's understand how the core architecture of Spring Security works. Yeah, so in this video, we'll be discussing these 5 aspects: internal working of Spring Security, authentication versus authorization, which is very important for interview perspective. Then internal working of Spring Security, how does it work internally? What are the authentication provider? Okay, so there are multiple configuration blocks that I will be explaining you. And then what is the default behavior of Spring Security? How is the flow working? Okay, and then the Spring Security internal things. Okay, so let's understand and go in depth step by step. So internal working of Spring Security. So what we do to implement Spring Security, what is the first and foremost task we do? Okay, so we need to add a dependency. So there is something called a Spring Boot starter dependency. So if you go to start.spring.io, then you will be able to see that. Let me show that so that you will get the idea on it. Yeah, so if you go to start.spring.io, when you add this language, project, and all these details, Spring Boot versions, group, artifact, package name, then here in the right section, you will see there is a dependencies. Okay, so in that you can add all sorts of dependencies which are required by you in your project. So in this, there is one of the dependency called as Spring Security. So if you implement just this Spring Security dependency, then with the help of this, what will happen? Automatically, Spring Security will be implemented in your project, and you will not be able to access any of the API endpoints without authorizing that particular user. Okay, so first that particular user needs to be authenticated, and it will see that particular user has that specific roles as defined in the configuration or not. Okay, so if you don't write those configurations also, still, if you just add this dependency, then only it will start securing your application. Okay, and it will not allow you to access that endpoints without actually logging in with your username and password. So that is the benefit which we get by adding this Spring Security dependencies. And there are other dependencies as well, but with respect to Spring Security, just we need to add this dependency. Okay, so if you go here in Explore, you will be able to see what is actually being implemented. So here, if you say this dependency is added, as soon as you add that particular Spring Security dependency, this dependency tag will be added. And once you resolve this dependency in your IntelliJ or Eclipse, then there is certain set of libraries or jars will be added in your class path. Okay, and from there, Spring will identify whether your application is secured or not. Okay, so this is the internal thing, a brief overview of it, like how does this security is working internally. Okay, so this was it. So it is being controlled by a web security configuration class. So this is also present in the library of the Spring Security dependency. Okay, then comes a dependency that we have already discussed. We need to add this group ID org.springframework.boot with artifact ID as Spring Boot Starter Security. So it will add all the libraries and its dependencies in your class path, which are required for securing your application. Okay, then what's the difference between authentication and authorization? Okay, so authentication is what? Authentication is you are being authenticated whether you are the right person to go into or being accessed by that particular website or not, or that particular store or not. So let's suppose you are going to your town. Okay, so if you are going via train or via flight, okay, so will they allow anybody to enter into the flight? No, right? They will first authenticate that whether you are the right person to step into that plane or train or not. Okay, how it will identify? Based upon the PNR ID. Okay, so if you enter PNR ID and the last name or mobile number, with that it will identify that you are the right person, and it will authenticate you, and then you will be able to enter inside the flight or train. Okay, that is the first level, which is authentication. Then the second level comes, which is authorization. So now you have the access to go inside the airport and go into that particular flight which you have access to. Okay, but as soon as you enter into the flight, can you go to any place? Can you sit at a pilot's seat? No, right? To enter into the pilot seat, you need to have that pilot access. So you are not authorized to go and sit on the pilot seat, okay? Because you are not a pilot or the person who sits near pilot. So you are not authorized to enter into that. So you are authenticated to enter into the airport and sit into the flight as a customer, but you are not authorized to enter and sit where the pilot sits. So this is basically the authentication and authorization mechanism. Similarly, if you have worked in any project, so there you will be seeing, like, once you have been given the access to enter into any website to see the functionalities of that particular application of the project, you will be able to go inside with your username and password because you have been given that authentication. But certain functionalities or specifications you are not being authorized to enter into because you are just a customer role. Your role is basically a user role, okay, but you are not an admin role. You have not been given an admin role. So specific functionalities you will be restricted. You are not authorized to enter into that portion. So this is basically authentication and authorization. So if you see here, authentication is a process of verifying whether you are the right user or not. It will verify the identity of the user who claims it. Then authorization is a process of determining whether that an authenticated user has the necessary permission to access a particular website or do some form of action or not on that particular website. So this is basically authentication and authorization. I hope you got a clarity on it. So how this internal working of Spring Security works. Okay, so if you go inside, so if you see this, there Spring Security, like security filter auto configuration is present, okay, which will automatically register. So if you see, this is the client. Client is basically a user who is trying to access the website. So there is like a filter chain. So filter chain, you can understand, like there is like a RO water purifier at your home, right? So whenever the water is coming, so it will, you are not drinking that water directly. It will go through various set of filters, and then it will remove all the bacterias or the protozoas, and then it will add some minerals to that water. This is second level of filtering, okay, and then after that you are able to drink that water. So that is the way to clarify or purify that water. The same way works here as well in case of filtering process. So whenever the request comes from the customer end, so first we need to authenticate that that particular person is the right person or the authenticated person or not. Okay, so there are certain set of filters which it goes through. There are certain set of filter chains. First is filter zero, then delegating filter proxy. Okay, so this Spring Security filter configuration which automatically registers this delegating filter proxy with this name, Spring Security filter chain. Okay, so here if you see, this filter chain proxy is linked with a certain set of filter. So in the last video we have been discussing about various kind of attacks. If you have not gone through that video, you can go through my previous video. This is the second video of this Spring Security series. So in my previous video, I have explained you about CORS, CQRS, SQL injection attack. So there we have discussed about this CORS, right? So cross origin resource sharing. So if you add this CORS filter, then this cross origin resource sharing attack will not happen. Okay, because there is something called a CSRF token that we can add it. So for that, there is CSRF filter. Okay, so there's these kind of filter chains that are present as a all set of security filters. Okay, and then there's logout filter, username, password, authentication filter. So these are the kind of filters that have been given to us. So once the user reaches this delegating filter proxy, then Spring delegates the process to filter proxy, filter chain proxy bean. And then with that, the Spring container will understand and it will utilize this Spring Security filter chain to filter the request to identify that particular user, and it will apply all this list of filters to be invoked for that particular user request. Okay, so this is the internal working, brief overview of this internal working of Spring Security. Okay, I hope you got the clarity on this. So step by step you will get to know, so don't need to worry. I will help you explain each and everything via code as well. Okay, so this is the first introductory video to understand the brief overview of the Spring Security. So first, this filter chaining is very important. Security filter chain, if you don't understand, you will not be able to understand JWT token. Say JWT token is one form of filter only. Okay, this username and password authentication is a filter. each and everything is acting as a filter so that there is no hijacking or attack on our application. And to maintain the security of the application, we need filter. Okay. So how is the default behavior of this Spring security actually is worked upon? Okay. So if you see, these are basically these 8 steps, which implies the default behavior of Spring security. First is to create a bean with the name Spring security filter chain. So here you will need to create one configuration class. In that, we need to add Spring security filter chain configurations based upon the user roles. Okay, then we have to register that filter bean with a bean named Spring security filter chain. Okay, so we have to register the filter. So you have to create a configuration classes to register those Spring security filter chain beans. Okay, and then before hitting the servlet, okay, we have to register that filter first. You can't directly tell the Spring security to filter the particular request. You have to give the configuration. We have to register the filter with a bean with the Spring security filter chain. Okay, for every request. Then the third point is HTTP basic authentication. So we have to authenticate the request first, whether that particular user is authenticated or not with a token ID. So there are various kind of things. With the help of bearer token, we can authenticate. With the help of JWT token, we can authenticate. Okay, there are various set of protocols we can follow. Okay, then we can generate a default login form. Okay, so if you implement Spring security dependency, then automatically if you go and try to access any particular website, then automatically you will be able to see a default login form where you have to enter your username and password. Okay, so let me show that once. So for you, I have created one test project. Okay, so here if you see, this is the test project. Okay, and if I run this application, let me run this application again. It is just a test project, nothing else. So let me run this application. Yeah, so once you run the application, you will be able to see that one password is generated over here with a username as user. Okay, so let me try to access this particular URL to see like whether it's able to access this particular endpoint or not. So let me access it. So if I do localhost :8080 slash test, 1 second, slash test slash data. By default, what it should return? It should return that string hello. So if you see over here with this endpoint test slash data, what it is returning? It is returning me hello world. But will it return hello world if we implement Spring security? Let's check it. No. What did it return? It returned me a normal login form. If you try to access any particular endpoint, it will first tell you to sign in. So this is basically the major power of Spring security, where you have to insert your username and password. And once it authenticates that user, then only it will allow you to access that particular endpoint. Okay. So username will be user. Okay. And password will be what is written over here. It is already displaying in the console. So if you don't want to make use of this particular password, you need to add it in your properties or YAML file. Okay, so in your properties file, you need to mention like spring.security.username, your custom username, and spring.security.password with your custom password. So if you want to customize your username and passwords. Okay, so as of now, I am making use of this password. So I can copy this one. And then let's suppose I am putting anything as a password. Let's suppose I'm putting anything. Okay, it's not the actual password. Let me sign in. Will it allow? It's stating as invalid credentials. That means it is authenticating that particular user with a wrong password or username. It understands like I am not the correct person to access that particular endpoint. Now let me write the correct endpoint. User and the password which I copied it from my console. So once I clicked on sign in, then you will be able to see hello world. Okay, so now I have been authenticated to access the endpoint, and whatever the endpoint is returning, I am able to see over here. So n number of things you can return. You can return response entity, you can return a page, you can return anything of your choice. For showing purpose, for demo purpose, I have shown you this one. Okay, so I hope you got the clarity on this. So it generates a default login form. It protects the password. So once you are giving the password, it just don't store the password as it is. It does the encryption of it. So this is bcrypt. Okay, so there's a bcrypt password encoder mechanism which it generates the hash code of it. So whatever password you are providing, it creates a hash of it, and then it encrypts it and internally decrypts to understand and to see whether the password you have given it matches with that which is stored in DB or which is stored in your properties file or not. Once it matches, then only it will authenticate you. Then other features are there like protection from CSRF attack via CSRF token. Okay, so it will authenticate via CSRF token. It adds it to the token, bearer token, and then it will try to authenticate you so that CSRF attack doesn't happen. So these are the basic properties or a default behavior of the Spring Security. Okay. Then how this internal flow of the Spring Security works. Okay, so it basically makes use of web async manager integration filter. So here, if you see, it's internally there are a lot of things happening. Okay, so in my upcoming video, in my next video, I will be explaining you what is this particular architecture. This is the in-depth architecture of Spring Security, like what is happening internally, and then I will be explaining you through code as well, like how this flow is working. Okay, so this was it for this. So in the next video, I will be explaining you this entire architecture. Okay, so if I put everything in this video, you will get confused. Okay, so in the next video in this series, I will be explaining you in depth of this architecture. Till then, it's Devjit signing off. Bye bye. Hi everybody. I provide consultation calls or one-on-one session calls or one-on-one mock interview sessions for all of you so that you can ace ahead in your IT interviews, okay, and crack the big service based or big product based organization. So how can you do that? So I am taking mock interview sessions, so you can go ahead in the description box below and you can book a call with me and we'll be having a one-on-one conversation. If you want to clear your doubts, that also we can have 1 hour consultation call, or if you want to book for resume session, that also you can book. We are also having all the resources that has helped me to crack the Java interview. That has also I have attached in the description box below. If you want to go through all the interview series, then there is a 34 interview series playlist videos that I have attached in this comment box in the description box below. So go ahead and watch that as well. So it will help you boost your interview skills and you can clear your interview like ease. Okay, so see you inside.